Welcome back to session 6 of Java Full Stack Made Easy. So in the last session, we discussed about strings, right? And we have discussed that string is immutable, right? And we also discussed how string constant pool works. And at the end, I told you that I'll be showing you the alternatives of string where we have manipulation on string objects, because we know that when a string is manipulated, that means any manipulation happens on a string creates a new object in string constant pool, and that might result into having unused objects into string constant pool. Now there are two options available if we want to manipulate on strings. Okay, the first one is StringBuffer, second one is StringBuilder. Okay, so we will see the difference between these two, StringBuffer versus StringBuilder. The very first thing is that these are the alternatives for string class in Java, because string is immutable object, right? So these classes are mutable. That means the objects created for these type of strings can be modified. For string, it cannot be modified. So let's see that example first. So when I say, like in the last example itself, we have created something like this, and we created new string of hello, and then we created str.concat method, we used world. Okay, and then I did a system.out.println str. I want you to guess the result of this. Like if you have went through the last video, you should be knowing the result for this. Now when I run this, I get just the hello world is not there because the reference is not given here. Same way, I'll create an instance of StringBuffer instead of creating the instance of just a string. So strb is what I'll call the new StringBuffer, and let's create a same string in here. So I'll go for hello once again, and then I'll do the same thing what I did with the string strb dot. Here we don't have a concat method. If you look at the list, you will not find a concat method here. Like a concat method, we have an append method here in StringBuffer. Okay, so let's append this. You can notice that it takes so many overloads of it. So let's pass in a string, maybe a word, or I'll just add a space so that our space will be added. If you believe that in the above case I did not add the space, here also I'll not add the space. All good. Now let me just print the string b and see the difference between string and StringBuffer. So I'll save it and run this piece of code, and you can notice that in the above case it is just hello, in the below case it is string b. That proves us that string is immutable, whereas StringBuffer is not immutable. So like a StringBuffer, we also have another class called as StringBuilder. So let me just copy this and add a StringBuilder here. So when I go for builder instead of a StringBuffer, let's see what will be the difference. So I write the same thing. Let's call it as BLD, string BLD. Okay, all other things are same itself. So let's save everything, run it once again and see the result. Now when I run the StringBuilder, it gives me the same result. So both StringBuffer and StringBuilder are similar. That means both are mutable, whereas string is immutable. Any manipulation you are doing on string objects results in a new object created. If a reference variable is given, then that reference variable will be holding the reference to a newly created object. If no reference is given, then the newly created object, now here there is no reference given, newly created object is lost in the memory. Here also I have not given any reference, here also I have not given any reference. Since this is the object of a buffer and this is the object of builder, both are mutable and the same object itself is modified rather than creating a new object. So this is the difference between string and StringBuffer, StringBuilder. Now still we did not compare StringBuffer with StringBuilder. So first let me put this into the repository, and after that we will see what is the difference between StringBuffer and StringBuilder. So this is our session 6. Let's call it as a day 6 in the repository. So day 6 / this is our demo 1, string versus string buffer versus string builder. All right. So now that we know string is completely different because it is immutable, string buffer and string builder looks similar because both of them are mutable. Okay. So let's now compare string buffer and string builder. Anytime you have manipulation on string objects, you can use buffer or builder. If there is no manipulation on the string object, you can use string itself because string are stored in the string constant pools and the memory management and all that looks good. So let me just remove this string as for now and let's go for just the buffer versus builder. If you closely look at the methods available into string buffer and string builder, they almost look the same itself. There is a lot of similarity between string buffer and string builder. Fine. So we will talk about the main difference between string buffer and string builder. After that, like I told you in the previous session, we can compare, we can explore the methods of both the classes by going to the official documentation. So let me give you the very important and main difference between the string buffer and string builder. So string buffer is thread safe and string builder is thread unsafe. Now what do we mean by thread safety and thread unsafe? Okay, so to understand this, we should at least have a little knowledge about the threads. So if we have no knowledge about the threading, multiple threading in Java, then I'll give you some example based on which you should be able to understand what is the difference between string buffer and string builder. So let us dive into the example and really understand what exactly is happening in string buffer and why is it thread safe, and what exactly is happening in string builder and why is it called thread unsafe, and what exactly do we mean by thread safety and thread unsafety in terms of Java threading. So let's take the first example about string buffer. Okay, so multi-threads, consider multi-threading means multiple users using this resource at the same time. For example, let's say there are two users, user A is there and user B is there, and both of these users wants to access a string buffer object called as hello. Okay, both of them wants to access the object hello. Since both of them are referring the same object hello, what if somebody tries to change hello to hello world? The next person is also accessing the same, right? This does not happen in string, because in string, anytime you create a new string object, at that time a separate string object is created. So if suppose at the exact same time somebody is doing a let's say str a equals to let's say string buffer is sb, as for now sb is equal to new string buffer, just an example. Okay, and here suppose there is something called as hello, and this person A is trying to do what? String A is equal to sb dot append world. Okay, so when he does sp dot append world, the same hello will be changed to world, right? The same will be world. And at the same time, if B is trying to change it to what? Maybe let's say strb is saying sb dot append maybe hello, they are trying to do John. Okay, so what will be the value of this particular text, whether it will be hello world, or it will be hello John, or it will be hello world John, or it will be hello John world, right? More than one person is trying to edit this. So without an object reference itself, this sb dot append string str will hold obviously hello world, and strb will be holding John if you see it separately. But what if they do it at the same time, right? So multiple users accessing this might cause you a problem. correct? So now string buffers, they seem to be thread safe. So what do we mean by thread safety? It means that if A is accessing hello world, at that time nobody else will be able to access the same resource. Nobody will be able to access this string buffer till A finishes off its work. So once A releases the lock, B will be able to access it. Okay, and when B is accessing it, B acquires a lock on it and A will not be able to access that. So which means in string buffer, only one user at a time can access the string buffer objects. Okay, it's like maybe your washroom, right? So only one person at a time can access it. You lock it and you do not allow anybody else to access it, right? So what is the advantage of this and what is the limitation of it? So the advantage obviously is that at one given point of time, only one person can access it and it will be safe. Nobody else is going to modify the behavior of this. And the limitation will be what? Because more than one user is trying to access it and locking is acquired on this, this is comparatively slow. Not always slow, but comparatively it is slow comparing to string builder. Okay, so now what does a builder do? If the same thing happens with the builder, builder allows both of them to access it at the same time. So in that case, you will not be able to judge the result. In the concept of string buffer, buffer will append this, it will finish off hello world. If A has acquired the lock first, it will be hello world, then B means hello world John. If B has acquired the lock first, it will be hello John, then hello John world. Whereas in builder, you will not be able to predict the result because it is allowing both of them to access the string buffer object at the same time itself. Okay, so string builder is thread unsafe, but because it does not acquire all the locking and everything, this is fast, right? So if suppose, for example, let's understand it without any programming things, right? So let us understand it in a very simple term. Let me just clean up everything that I have written here. Let's understand it in a very simple way to make sure that you understand what exactly is thread safety, what is thread unsafety, and why is thread safe methods slow and why thread unsafe methods are fast. Okay, take an example. A person is traveling from the point A to B. Okay, and suppose you are itself traveling from this point A to point B. Okay, and what I tell you is that there is no one on the street. So I guarantee you that there is nobody from here to here, right? There's no traffic at all, there's no signals, nothing at all. So you have to just travel from A to B, that's it, and you are the lone person who is traveling from here to here. Okay, so what will be your first concern, whether you will be concerned about the safety or the speed? So suppose this from A to B, if you're traveling, and if that is around, let's say 100 kilometers from A to B, how much time will it take for you to reach from A to B? Obviously you might say, if there is nobody, I'll go with the speed of 100 kilometers per hour. So if it is 100 kilometers per hour, to reach that 100 kilometers, it will take 1 hour for you if there is nobody on the street, right? So you'll be focusing on the speed. More of the focus will be on the speed because there's nobody on the road. In the same example, if you're traveling from A to B, the same distance, but only difference that comes up here is that I tell you that there is traffic on the street. Okay, there's a traffic here. So this road has traffic. So now if you're traveling from A to B, tell me, will you reach it in 1 hour? You will not, right? Why is that? That's because you will not go 100 kilometers per hour speed, right? You'll not go in that speed, obviously, because there are more people on it. There is Y traveling here, there's Z traveling here, maybe there's A, B, C, D, and all of them are traveling here. So you'll be concerned about the safety, right? So that is why the second one, obviously, here if you reach in 1 hour, if it takes 1 hour for you to reach here it might take 1.5 hours, or maybe at least 1.3 1.2 hours you will take. Okay, so comparatively this 1 hour is fast comparing to this 1.3, because in 1.3 you are focused about the safety, and in 1 hour you are focusing only on the speed of it because there's nobody here. But because there are multiple people here, you will slow down a bit, and you will be concerned about the safety. So that's what both the string buffer and string builder is all about. String builder is safe, it's unsafe, but it is fast, right? Why is it fast? Because there's nobody here, and this is slow, but this is what safe even if there is a traffic here. So what you have to do is, this is string builder, which is fast, and this is string buffer, which is safe, right? So as a programmer, you have to decide whether you want to use a string buffer or string builder. Now, how as a programmer you will decide whether you are using string buffer or you want to use a string builder? Functionality wise, both are almost same, but when it comes to the thread safety, both are different. First one is thread unsafe, second one is thread safe, because of which first one is fast, second one is slow. Okay, so where will you decide this? If suppose you're working on a single threaded application, at that time you will definitely go for a builder because that is fast, and you know that there are no multiple threads in the application. And if it is a multi-threaded application, in that case you will definitely go for string buffer, because you don't want more than one thread to be executing at the same time. You want the locking to be implemented, and you don't want the threads to disturb each other's execution. So functionality wise both are same, but depending upon what type of applications you're working on, you choose either the string buffer or string builder. So this is the main difference between string buffer and builder. Also in this example, if you notice, both this are giving me the same result itself. As in this program, I have only one thread, that is the primary thread, right? So I can just use builder rather than using a buffer. If I am creating more than one thread, at that time it is safe to use buffer rather than using builder. So let me give you another example on the same. So let's go for string buffer now, and let's see, there are more methods available into this. You can go ahead and then maybe what you can do is you can explore the methods that are available into string buffer and explore the methods that are available into string builder as well. So this is the list of methods that are there here. That also tells you how things work in here, right? So you can go ahead and see how exactly they work, what is the argument that they take and all that. Okay, so maybe I'll just make use of the method length. So that is a commonly used method. Again, length is already available, append we have already used. So let's say maybe char@. So I want to know what is the character at position, maybe let's say position 1. Okay, for string buffer, and the same thing I'll use for string builder as well. And let's see the result. So I'll directly print both of them, since both the methods returns us something, char@. Okay, it returns us a character, the character at a given position. So let's see whether both of them will give us the same result or not. First of all, this in some cases might give you a different result if the strings are different, because here hello world both contains hello world, that is why it should give you the same result itself, right? So string buffer dot char@1 and string builder char@1. So I'm checking what is the character at position 1. So it is starting from 0. So position 1 in string buffer also it is E, string builder also it is E. If strings were different, then obviously the result will be different. Because the strings are same, result is same for char@ as well. So most of the methods are common itself, similar itself in string buffer and string builder, the difference only comes up when it comes to multiple threading. Since builder is thread unsafe, it is fast. String buffer is thread safe, it will be slow. So I hope you have got the difference between string buffer and string builder. One important point about the string buffer and string builder, like in the last class we discussed that equals method, right? Let me first give string buffer versus builder to you. I hope you have understood the concept. The main difference between string buffer and builder, that is about the thread safety. Single threaded application always go for string builder, multi-threaded application always go for string buffer. So now I was talking about in the previous example, like in the last session, what we discussed was, we discussed about the equals method in string class. So equals method is actually a method of object class which is overloaded into a string class. Let us check whether string buffer and builder has overridden that method or not. So I'll try and compare string buffer object 1 and object 2. Let's say string buffer 1 and string buffer 2 as for now. So this will be our string buffer 1 and string buffer 2, and both the string buffer 1 and buffer 2 are same object itself. So time being, I'll just comment this out. Both string buffer, string builder, both are holding hello world itself. Let me run this and check. I think I've commented out. Sorry. Let's comment this out as well. So let's save it and see whether both are string buffer object itself. So both are holding the same value, right? Both are different objects, obviously. So for different object comparison, we use equals method. So let us now check whether the equals method system.out.println strb2 dot equals strb1, if we check, what is it going to tell us? strb1 dot equals method has to be here as well, because every class in Java is a child of object class. So this will again be taken from the object class. Let's compare both of them and check whether this returns us true or false. So if this was a string object, it would return us true. That's what we have seen in our previous class. Now when I run this is returning us false, although both the objects, both of them are same itself, right? And they belong to string buffer itself. Why is it now this equals method is not checking the equality of two different objects, right? And how do we actually compare these two things? So this is going to return us false. Reason for that is what? Equals method is not overridden in string buffer class. So it's not overridden in string buffer class. So what we have to do is, we have to now to compare these objects, equality of these objects, whether these two are same or not. We have to again convert this object back into string, and then only we have to compare it. And how do we do that, right? So let's see how do we do that, and with that we will also get to know one more method of a string class, which is again commonly used to convert objects into string. So let's see how do we do that. So what I do is, I'll say string buffer1 dot to string. Okay, and this converts string buffer object into a string. So what I have to do is, I'll to just say str1 equals to, similarly this will be a string object obviously, and then str2 will hold the reference to strb2. And now what we can do is, we can just compare str1 and str2, since they are string, right? str1 and str2 equals method is overridden in here, so this will return true, right? So let's save it and run this and see what it returns. So now this is returning as true because it is overloaded in this particular class. This is true. Okay, equals method is overridden in string class. Okay, and it's not overridden in string buffer or string builder. You can try the same with the string builder also and see the result for the same. So let me just copy this and see and put it into the repository for your understanding. So I added demo 1, demo 1, it should be demo 2 basically. And now I'll add demo 3. This is what equals method in string buffer. Okay, because string buffer is already created class, we cannot go ahead and modify that, right? We cannot modify a string buffer class, so we cannot go ahead and override the method there. So that's why we have to just convert the buffer into the strings and then compare it, and once they are equal, we can again go ahead and perform any manipulation on the same. We can compare, you can check that with the builder as well. So I hope the difference between string buffer and string builder is completely clear to you, and if there is any doubt, you can ask the questions in the comment section, and see you guys in the next video.